Hey, what's going on guys? It's Modix back with another cycle video, and in today's video we will be going over the top 15 mistakes every player makes in the cycle. So be sure to watch until the very end of the video so that you can fix these mistakes and become a better cycle player. And if you are looking to improve your skill for the cycle, then be sure to go and hit that subscribe button with notifications on, because on this channel we are bringing you the best cycle tips and tricks to make you guys better players of the cycle. And if you have those notifications on, then you are sure to never miss any of the tips that we give you. Also, be sure that you're using code Modix whenever purchasing ARM from the Epic Games Store, because that does help us out. But let's go ahead and get right into the 15th most common mistake. Okay, before we get into the list, I do want to say that this list is based off of how common the mistake is and how crucial the mistake can be. So just keep that in mind as we are going through the list. But coming in at our 15th most common mistake is pacting in solos. So pacting in solos can help some players and it can also hurt others, because when you join a pact in solos, you lose your shield, and this can make it so easy to get knocked, especially if you're running a kit with such low health like the quick suit. I've been in so many 1v2 fights in solos where I don't even have to worry about the other team having a number advantage, because all I have to do is spray down one player, and then once he gets knocked, all I have to do is move on to the next one, spray them down, and I just took out a full team. This mistake leads to a ton of players losing their triage and even full foaming. So if you can learn how to not pact in solos, then you will have a higher chance of surviving your trip to Fortuna 3. So be sure that you're not pacting in solos for a better chance of surviving. Moving on to the 14th mistake on this list, we have purchasing the wrong weapons. The more you play the cycle, you will start to realize that this game isn't just your common first-person shooter. In the cycle, you need to be able to read situations and respond accordingly. And what I mean by this is, let's say we have a player that is playing super aggressive and he always wants to push you in your match. If this is the case, you're most likely not going to want to save up for your 800 credit weapon, because he's going to try pushing you with either his 200 credit weapon or his 500 credit weapon. And if these players know what they're doing, they can easily take you out due to the fact that you still have your pistol. So if this is happening, what I would suggest is maybe picking up your 200 credit weapon and then saving up for your 800 credit. So just be sure that you learn how to read the situation and purchase the right weapons and abilities accordingly, because this will help you to not only win more of your fights, but also win more of the matches that you play in. The 13th mistake goes along with the last mistake, and it's letting mobs survive at the start of the match. This can be a problem because if you don't kill the mobs at the start of the match, then you can't get a good amount of credits to start to improve your loadout. You need to be able to upgrade your weapons in the cycle, because if you can't, then you might be stuck with your pistol for just a minute too long, and this could honestly cause you to die. So be sure that you're killing any mobs that you can see at the start of the match to get those credits to upgrade your weapons. Now onto the 12th mistake. We have bad comms. Communication is one of the most important parts of the cycle and most FPS games in general. Making sure that you can communicate effectively with your team is essential to becoming a better player. Even though we don't have a compass like some other popular first-person shooter games, we still have a pinging system where you can call out enemy locations to your team. If you're looking for teammates, I would highly recommend going to the Discord link in the description and finding some players to play with so that you can work on your team communication skills. Coming in at number 11, we're going to be talking about evac and how to strategically use it to win your matches. I see so many players staying out of evac for way too long. Evac can give you and your team a total of 5 points if you clear the whole platform, and this can be the difference between a win and a second place finish. Personally, I like to go to evac when I see about 4 or 5 minutes left on the clock. This allows me to be the first to obtain these 5 free VPs and allows me to secure my team's place on the leaderboard by getting inside the evac ship. If you wait too long, you could miss the ship and that entire game would have been for nothing. Number 10 is a mistake that even I still sometimes make, dropping your zeal crystal and not noticing. When you're carrying a zeal, there is not really an indicator that your player has that crystal. And when you take damage, this zeal will drop from your player. This happens way more often than you would think. When you get into fights with players or mobs, make sure that you're checking that you still are carrying that zeal by looking at your map and your surroundings, because those passive zeal points are going to be a great way to get ahead in your matches. When I see players playing in a group, I see mistake number 9 a lot. Teams will go into fights without actually regrouping first. In the cycle, having the numbers advantage in a fight is an automatic plus. If you go into a squad fight with only 3 players and the enemy team has 4, you are going to have a very tough time winning. A way to fix this is by making sure you regroup with your team first and then rush in and take on the enemies. This will make it harder for your opponents to focus you all down one by one and will give you a fair fight or even the advantage when it comes to the numbers. Once you lose your triage, you have to change the way you play. This is why mistake number 8 is pushing PvP even after you have lost that triage. After you die once, you are teleported back to your pod and you only have one more chance. You have to use this last life very carefully. You need to change how you are playing and try not to PvP nearly as much when you're on this last life. Make sure to only take fights that you absolutely have to when you lost this triage, because if you die again, your time on Fortuna 3 is over. Number 7 is similar to our last tip, but just as important. Way too many of you don't watch your health while mid-fight. Watching your health and backing off at the right time is crucial to winning gunfights. Make sure to be constantly checking your health and shield bar so that you know exactly when to back off or to push in further. As soon as you find yourself with a health advantage, this is your green light to go push in and finish off that fight. Staying on the topic of player versus player combat, we have mistake number 6. This mistake is going to be going for PvP too much. The cycle is a PvEvP game, and you will not perform well if you treat it like a battle royale. PvP can be rewarding in some instances, but it is also not the best way to actually win your games. If you're struggling to win games and find yourself dying too often, stop taking PvP fights and try to gauge whether the fight is worth it or not. For the 5th mistake on this list, we have ignoring the cycle spike. There are not many times where you should ignore the cycle spike. In fact, you're more likely to go to an aquarium and feed a giraffe than win a match if you ignore the cycle spike. The cycle spike is one of the best contracts in the game, and you're able to get the most amount of VPs in the shortest amount of time by doing it. And honestly, it can turn a bad game into an amazing game. So if you're struggling to get high VP wins, then you might want to give Cycle Spike a try. At number 4, we're going to be talking about some more contracts that have massive value. These are Uplink, Zeal, and Laser Drill. These 3 contracts are some of the most powerful in the game. Making sure that you can control some of these is very important. Another key part of succeeding while playing with these contracts is ensuring that these contracts get spread between the teams in your match. If one team controls all the most valuable contracts, they are going to easily win that game. While playing, be sure to constantly check the leaderboard and make sure that one team is not dominating these top contracts. Staying on the topic of contracts, we have number 3. Prioritizing the wrong contracts. Too many players try to go for contracts that just are not worth it. We have guides on all of these contracts, so if you need some help learning what contracts are the best, go check those out. Before your game, you need to check what contracts you have and figure out what you are going to prioritize in order to win that match. At number 2, we're going to be talking about an early game mistake that will set you up for failure mere seconds into the game. This mistake is not farming credits at the beginning of the match. During the first minute or two, you need to be grinding up your credit balance so that you can buy yourself that 200 credit weapon and give yourself an advantage over all the other players in your game. If you don't do this, you are giving the other players a leg up on you. Having this 200 credit weapon early is vital to your success. Finally, our number one mistake is by far the biggest mistake I see being made by players of all skill levels. This mistake leads to many players dying over and over and never being able to finish out games. This is going to be overextending during fights. When you're in a fight, you have to be careful of all enemy player positions as well as many other factors such as weapon choice, health, and even what part of the map you are in. If you overextend and push up too far in a fight, this gives the enemy team a free kill on you, which will put your entire team at a terrible disadvantage for the rest of the game. Thank you so much for watching through this video. It is absolutely amazing seeing how much support we have been getting recently, and I really just want to thank all of you. I'll be replying to every single comment, so go ahead and leave me your thoughts down below. We're trying to improve the quality of our videos, so if you did enjoy the information given in this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to help support the channel. Thank you so much for watching this video to the very end, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.